Greetings everybody and welcome back to the Austin Lindsay channel. So this company Avezano or Avezano, I don't know how you pronounce it exactly, but they reached out to me to shoot with some of their backdrops. And being a sucker for a good backdrop, I jumped at the chance. So right out of the gate, I have to say these backdrops are awesome. I mentioned a few in other review videos and how handy cloth backdrops are. So they allow me to completely change up my scene with very little need for storage space. So I'm a big fan. The first one here is a nice painterly, almost quite literally painterly look. I love how this has nice big brush looking splotches, and it really gives the images a nice classic art painting look. So to help complement this look for lighting, I'm using a 64-inch soft silver PLM umbrella from Policy Buff. I'm lighting this with a Profoto D1, which is different than my standard Godox setup, but I dropped my AD400 in a pool in a different shoot, so I'm using this while the other one is on order. For the first look, I'm just using the umbrella and I have it high above pointing down, and I have most of the umbrella in front of her and just the back edge is lined up with about the center of her head. Using the umbrella will still light the background, but positioning it this way helps keep the background relatively darker than the model, and having the bulk of the modifier in front of her also makes for some really soft light on the front of her body. This second look is one of my favorite looks, by the way. I just love how typically French it is. This is the same umbrella. I'm also playing around with the angles of the umbrella. I'm just trying to keep some of the shadows from the hat from falling on her forehead too much. I should also mention in these indoor shots, I have off to my right my trusty DIY V-flat for all of the shots. And for this shot in particular, I have down below a Superflags bounce card just to provide some fill back onto the model. And then I've added an optical snoot on a 400 Pro, and this has some slits in it on the background. I was going for more of a long window blinds kind of look. This isn't quite what I had in my mind, but when I saw it on the computer screen, I really liked it, so I kept it. This other look we had actually shot before the sun went down, but I wanted to shout out to the Avezano backdrops before too many of my viewers clicked away. I also really like this look. The bold red of her hair and the outfit against the green is really eye-catching. And for light, this dock is positioned just perfectly to have the sun setting as a backlight. We got here around 6 p.m. in the summertime, which gave us that perfect angle for the sun. And then for the key light, I have an AD400 Pro with a 35-inch octabox. And technically it has 16 sides, but I really don't see Heckadeca box catching on anytime soon, so I just call it an octabox. And for some of these images on the dock, I'm using the K&F Concepts Black Mist Diffusion Filter to give the images that nice dreamy look. I do also want to point out that this shot here, which will show up at the end of the final images, was shot with all natural light. Normally not my forte, but it looked pretty cool through the camera lens, so I thought I'd try it, and it turned out really well. Jumping back into the indoor shoots, I'm using a second Avezano backdrop, and I'll provide links in the description to the ones I'm using in this video. But this one is blue, more of a classic splotchy texture backdrop. I really like this one because it's kind of very non-distracting. Some of the other backdrops I have somewhat of a bold pattern or something on them. So if I use them too often, they can be somewhat noticeable and repetitive in my posts. So it's nice to have a couple of low-key backdrops on hand. The lighting for this is similar to the first one with the high umbrella modifier, but I've added a second light here. It's an AD400 Pro with a 10-inch by 36-inch foldable strip box from Policy Buff. And I actually have a video on how to modify these to fit Bowen's mounts right here. This strip box has a grid on it to control some of the light. Since it's behind the model and pointed towards the camera, this gives a nice edge light, and the grid helps to control some of the spill and some of the flare. And just for fun, with this same outfit, I also did a shot with the parabolic without the diffusion sock, and I used this as a side or a rim light. And then I used the AD400 Pro with the optical snoot on it and a circle gobo in it as the key light, and this kind of gives it that theatrical spotlight sort of feel. For the final look of the shoot, we went back to the beginning and I used just the umbrella and its overhead. It's not quite as angled down as the first one, and it's also pointed more towards the camera to feather the light a little bit more. But I have the back edge of the umbrella in line with the model's head and the bulk out front to finish off this shoot. Once again, thank you to Avezano for sending these backdrops out. They're amazing. I really enjoyed them. If you guys do have any questions, leave them in the comments field. I'll do my best to answer them. And thanks everyone for watching.